If you hate yourself more than usual right now, you're not alone. Ramadan is often a time where your feelings of self-loathing are magnified because you are constantly reminded how you are not hitting the level that you should be. And you might have made Ramadan goals yourself. Maybe you have had a plan of where you should have been by now, and you've done really so little of it. And you take that as a reflection on how you are not that committed in your worship, and so you start blaming yourself and oftentimes cast that conversation up onto who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, assuming that the way that you see yourself is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is witnessing you. A reminder that that's not true, because you are not Allah. And so however you talk to yourself is you talking to you, not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commenting on you. But I want you to remember that if you are someone who has other responsibilities, whether they are your own mental health responsibilities, taking care of yourself so that you don't spiral, whether it's the responsibilities of taking care of kids or working or supporting your parents in some way or literally studying, whatever it is, that is worship in and of itself when you make the intention that it's for the sake of Allah. Also, the emotional toll of obviously the privilege of safety of not being in a genocide but witnessing a genocide, feeling helpless for not being able to stop a genocide. Your rage, your emotion, your inability to feel emotion because you're so numb, all of that is going to affect your capability of worship. If you haven't felt the sweetness of Ramadan at this point, I want to remind you that there is nowhere in Islam where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala requires you to feel a sweet emotional experience in Ramadan. In fact, Allah tells us that the way that we come closer to Him is through doing the obligation and then doing the extra. So if you're doing the obligation and that's all you're doing, while of course Ramadan is the time to do as much as we can, you're doing enough. If you are struggling with the obligation, but you wish you could, you want to, you're trying, acknowledge that maybe last year you didn't care, but this year you do. That is incredible progress for your faith. And if you're comparing yourself to who you were years ago when you used to spend so much time worshiping in Ramadan and you feel like you've completely lost that aspect of your identity because you are in a very different place, then I want you to know that if you were in front of the Kaaba, if you were in Medina, your Ramadan would probably look a little bit different. You would be the exact same person, but you would probably have a different type of Ramadan because your environment is different. Your responsibilities are not there the way they normally are. And Allah knows how terrible you feel and how much you wish you could do better. So how do you think Allah sees you? While you're hating yourself for not being good enough, perhaps Allah is recording you as someone who has done the utmost worship because that is what your capacity is in this particular Ramadan. Remember, Allah is as you think He is. Have hope in Him. He wants you to win.